Marisa, and I'm here with Jenny Lee, the great Jenny Lee, Jenny Sight, Jenny the Seer. So, Jenny, how have you been?
Good, tired, wore out from moving.
And how's everything? I mean, you moved to Fargo, and how's the move been? And how's your new
I think
life?
it's good. Um, it's it was really interesting because Spirit was just like, you need to get out today. We're done. And you could just feel the shift coming as I moved out of the area and got everything done. So you could kind of feel it catching up, and then like detaching when you left. So it was interesting. And now it just feels like a different energy has like stepped in with me, and now they're like, okay, that's all done. Now let's focus on this now, get things going. And that's the thing that's changing is um, it all changed, and so the spiritually energy's coming in. It's just they're like it's time to go. It's go time. Get a lot of stuff done on this process. So it's just definitely interesting how things are changing.
Well,
Um,
there's a lot of changes going on right now.
there is.
Yeah.
So with the whole world and especially in the spiritual realm, I mean, tired in a different way. They're tired in a way of they're holding this light of energy and they're drained. It's pulling them down, the drainage of it, because you're holding. I mean, I always tell you, hold the line, hold the line. And well, we all are that
Hmm.
is awake and in different states and in Pacific areas. We are holding, we're tired, we're exhausted. We get up the next day and we do the same thing over and over
Hmm.
because there's many that are not. They're asleep. They're the NPCs. They're completely dismantling phases. They're
Hmm.
not coherent in what's going on. They're walking around like a zombie or through this whole process. And they're
Do
only
you?
triggered by certain words and then it's
Right.
anger and that's the whole thing about it. You're seeing it in front of you.
Let me ask you something, Jen. Do you feel like are more people waking up, or do you think it's like at this point it is where we are at this point?
No, because I think it's really showing the veils of different layers of conscience. And I think the ones that are awake, they were awake 6 months ago. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. I don't think there's
Right.
any more. Now it's when things are presented that they're getting ready to show, it's denial, denial,
Mm-hmm.
denial on
Mm-hmm.
every process of everything. So, and then they're emotionally offended for a manipulation game, so you don't bring that up and you don't confront them on the truth, um, because you're laying guilt into them of ignoring the situation, ignoring the kids, ignoring everything. They don't want to hear it. It's the narcissism, left wing attitude that they've been
Mm-hmm.
taught. Everything that they think is true and their delusion is true and what they want to become and be, and because the left has completely fed it,
It's very
they
interesting.
use it for their own tools.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do it for a good intention. They did it for control and using them as a tool.
It's interesting to me to see that instead of being open minded, people are digging their heels and they're doubling down on their belief system instead of opening their minds. So I mean, I have seen that, and it's gotten progressively like the emotions are getting
Right.
higher, and the tempers are getting more fiery, and it's coinciding with what's going on, all over the country. Now,
Hmm.
there's so many things that you, Jenny, have already predicted. You want to talk about some of those, and then we'll get into what you see happening?
So let's start with California, and
Okay.
then I'll start with New York.
Okay.
This is the process And honestly, I'm tired of talking about these predictions because I'm just want them to come to pass, and so we can move on to new ones. It's just, and that just you get
We could do a
sick of
quick
seeing.
thing, like a quick recap.
But you know what I'm saying? Not as in,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that you're like, okay, let's move on, spirit.
Mhm.
So I did the drawing of the cities of California, the bridges in the back, there's helicopters, there's an isolation tents, there's barrier put up because and that's on Instagram. Everybody's seen it that knows me. Because those are the barriers. This is the filtration process that we're going into. So cities with YouTube on describing all time ago what I think it was in February that I went in. So how the filtration process has to happen with this, the filtering process. So whether it's a psych ward, whether it's they have information, they're going to filter. That's what the military does. They get the information that they need, and then they work from there.
What exactly do you mean by filtration system? Exactly.
Yeah, it's a filtering process that we're going into. So when we do that, so the military is going to set these gateways that you can go in and out of. They're going to cut certain roads off because they're taking control. And so you're going to see white buses loading up, and I think it's just immigrants.
Jen, I think we had a little glitch. Oh, okay. Hang on. Excuse me. All right. She's back. There you are. Jen? Hey, Jen, can you hear me? Uh-oh. What happened? Jen? Yeah, I'm here.
There?
Can you hear me? We had a little bit of a glitch. We lost you for a second.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So you were talking about the white buses. Oh, okay. Let's.
I switched.
There you are.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's a filtration process that we're going through.
Okay.
So you're going to see the military secure certain areas, certain block areas, and then checking IDs, checking information. They're not going to allow you towards that secured area where they're filtrating all these people. And this is what you're going to see in the 17 cities. You want to call what you call the
Oh boy. All right, we're having tech issues. Jen, you froze again. All right. Jen? Sorry, everybody. Bear with us. Jen, can you hear me? Oh, okay. Jen's coming back.
I don't know.
You are.
It's
I
going
don't know what's going on.
again.
I think this information is so explosive that it's like, you know.
Yeah, it's cutting out.
And
this is Starlink, by the way.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on. So we're dealing with that process. So when they understand military control, you know, this is what they're going to tell them. You need to go to your homes, don't go outside, and you're going to see military walking through the streets, checking the houses home by home. It's part of the process that's going to happen. You can't stop it, you know. But if things would have been simple, and I think I said this to Alex, I said it'd be very easy if the military didn't have to worry about the left delusional ones that are just going ballistic and crazy. We didn't have that process that they um, would deal with the reality, the truth, the structure, what needs to be brought in, what needs to be put back. This process would have been a lot easier. We would have advanced a long time ago on this. But now this is the process. We got to deal with the loony bin of what the deep state started.
So, okay. So how do we, I mean, dealing with the deep state, I mean, do you think that this is like the end, this is the deep state's last ditch effort? Or do you think, like, where are we in terms of like the timeline? Are we like
the deep
winning,
state is on their last leg because when I channeled the information, they said they're going to take as many as they can with them. This is the last stand. And so once that last stand is it's also about showing the corruption in a different way, showing how everything is controlled by the negative and has always been controlled by the negative, into a process to change the narrative.
Right.
And that it's also showing that you can't be safe with this continuing. And that's the whole thing. The deep state or the Democrats, they want all this freedom for them, but then they're like, but not in my neighborhood, and don't bring them over here. So
right.
quiet. That's the whole thing about it. So, and they've gotten away with that because there's no logic in anything. You don't have to back up what you say. You just have to act a certain way that they tell you to act a certain way.
Right. Do as I say, don't do as we say, do what we tell you to do, kind of, whatever that expression is. Yeah.
Exactly. So all these which you can go back, I think it's in February, we talked about, because people were asking per city what was going to happen, and these 17 regions of cities were going to be pushed into a situation, and the outskirts of it will be fine. It's just where they're going to isolate everybody. There's with military trucks everywhere, helicopters everywhere. I mean, this is to the military. This is just training. They've done this forever. They know how to do this, and it's just been in other countries that they've had to do this. Now we're at a process that doesn't have to.
Jen, okay. We seem to have again had another glitch.
When the lights go down, when it gets dark.
Oh, there you are.
You're going to see these.
Okay.
Sorry. You're going to see these camps that are going to be created to filter, and then all of a sudden you'll start to see the streets and a calmness that starts to take over. When that calmness happens, the waters is the concern that showed me in California. Then the waters of the ocean would come in, especially Orange County, that area, and flood that area and drown that certain area out in LA. Then go back out to the ocean, like something draining it, moving it towards a direction, and then coming back in and pulling those.
So does this have to do with what's going on in the tunnels, the Getty, all that stuff?
All of it.
Yeah. So that's what's.
California was always going to be the last part of it, because it was the weakest. Underground, it's weak. It's not strong. It's not stable. So, and that's why they showed me what a reaction that's going to happen is Mexico. They showed me how a ground splitting open and then it going up towards the coast, and it's right on just the coastline of this happening, and then right in the pit of LA, which is a pit in layers of the underground cities of the cabal, saturated with water.
So that's basically what this is all about. Are the
Well,
children going
for
to?
California,
Right.
but I mean, you're going to see it in other regions. New York's another area that you're going to see um, the water coming in. But I saw Lady Liberty being shot down by gods of Rod, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the symbolism, the bridges have to go down too.
You've been saying the bridges
Yeah,
for a
the
while.
dismantling phases are coming in. The symbolism, the thresholds have to come down.
Mm-hmm.
So we can look at the golden age, that nothing binds us, nothing contains us in these barriers anymore,
Mm-hmm.
these dams and everything else. So it was always going to come down to taking it all down, erasing the symbolism in this process.
Right, like the symbolism of the Statue of Liberty, which basically is the statue of Lucifer anyway,
Mm-hmm.
which we all know. I mean, that's not a newsflash.
No,
Exactly.
it's not.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so the whole process of this, and this is what I said that, okay, so now you got to contain the United States, you have to shut it down, and then you have to implement the Jubilee and the quantum system.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing, when that happens, nothing can come in and do anything to it. So I believe they're going to shut the borders down so they can implement it. So that's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they have control of everything. When this
Can you talk about again for some of the people maybe who just tuned in or are watching us for the first time? Just give them a quick. This is what the Jubilee is.
Well, it's going to erase the debt.
Mm-hmm.
Anything in the past, loans, everything, because we don't owe them anything.
Mm-hmm.
They enslaved us. The change will be broken, and then our fruits.
Oh boy, Jen. Again, you froze. Every time you say something important, this is what happens. I wonder, like, that's not a coincidence. Okay, Jen. We're getting some nice comments here. Lots of love. Yes, Jenny is the best. I do love Jenny. Okay, Jen. Okay. Adding you back again.
Yeah.
Hey, every time you say something important, boom. So predictable.
So the Jubilee is completely eradicating the debt. We have to start from a fresh slate.
Right.
For the quantum system, it's not bringing the old bills and the old regime and the old debt into the new quantum system. It's like starting from a fresh slate. Everything.
Right. Right. Okay.
You know what's funny is just people can't get into the concept. They're so fixated on taxes, like how are we going to pay for this? And they just don't get it. 3D just doesn't understand. It's not the same type of system.
Because basically we're coming from lack a lot of times, as opposed to like the universe is about abundance. So
right.
Exactly.
And that's the whole thing is it's just changing, so what do you do?
Well, what do you do, Jen? I mean, like how, okay, we know what's going on with the 17 cities. You've been talking about this for a while. We know what's happening in LA, and then the No Kings thing is happening. So what do? We stay focused on our connection with Source. What else do you?
Well, yeah, we stay connected to Source because that was always going to be the golden age. It was going to lead us into the light. That we're already coming into that energy that we're supposed to be residing with him. Everything around you, you see the dismantling phases. You see the false ones that led you down the wrong path. And the thing is, your intuition is changing in the truth serum is leading you to the truth or your own truth, to that light because we're going into the golden age across the board. And
Mm-hmm.
so you got to remember the negative isn't going to get anything. And I think it was on James Rink's show when I showed that a long time ago, that they said you present your energy in front of the system and it's built on fairness. And so if a negative presence, if a negative has done something negative, it's not going to be funded in any
Mm-hmm.
way in that process, which makes sense. Why would you fund something that works against humanity and that's trying to cause chaos?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that.
You don't
So
want that. Mm-hmm.
so it's that truth serum. It's the true path.
I think sometimes, although I feel like it's
Thinking, is there a way to get around this? Because that's what the Democrats not to scam it. It's not.
mm-hmm.
There's no way to
Mm-hmm.
get around it.
Mm-hmm. So
So
basically, just focus on. To me, it's like really focusing on creation versus focusing on destruction, and staying connected to source, the light. And it's also about emotion. To me, like it's the difference between being reactive, a reactor, and just
Mhm.
staying calm
Right.
amid the chaos and the storm. I mean, it's really hard, especially hard. I mean, I have a temper, so it's very hard for me, but I'm really working on that. But I feel like the less you engage in the rage, like don't engage in the rage, haha,
Right.
the better off we are, right? Like, what do you?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the negative wants. He wants you to enrage you at this time at the end. Like I said, I think
Mm-hmm.
I talked about the contract of the negative,
Right.
that I saw it in a dream that they showed me.
Mm-hmm.
They forgot that they signed a contract with us.
Okay, you're about to say something really great again. Okay, everybody, Jenny just froze again when she was talking about signing a contract with us. All right, Jenny, come back. This is so good. All right, here she comes. I apologize, everybody. Okay, here you are.
Okay.
You were just talking about signing a contract and you froze. Okay.
So the contract of the negative, all the stars, they all forgot that they used their soul as a option. And what they said is, if they didn't win, they were going to have to go back with the negative. The whole demonic thing. They're always going to have to end up going back with them.
You're talking about
And so
celebrities, stars, like kind of thing?
celebrities, anybody that was serving the negative, anybody that touched that blood, anybody that did anything to the innocents, they were going to end. They made
Mm-hmm.
their choice. Because I always said, you either pick the light or
Right,
you
it's
pick the
really a
dark.
choice.
If you
Right.
pick the dark, you're
Mm-hmm.
going back. You're going back with them, and they show time being replayed over and over and over. It
Mm-hmm.
never ends. It's like pushing a boulder
Right.
forever. You're alive, but you're going to be alive forever, serving the same
Mm-hmm.
master. It won't be
Mm-hmm.
worth it. So they showed me that. But they also showed me that when these energies change upon Earth, it will dismantle in a particle of dust. These NPCs, these programs that they brought in that people refuse to see, that they'll dismantle, they'll either freeze or they'll go into incineration.
Hmm.
And I often wonder, some of these fires, is that already happening?
These fires, you think that's part?
Some of the smell that we're smelling, is it the incineration that's already started? Because that's to start somewhere, right?
So what do you think? So what do you think these fires are then?
Well, I think some are fires. I think some are, are pulling stuff from the ground that needed to be pulled up. some of the, you know, like Trump said a couple weeks ago, he goes, and I said this, we have to walk through the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you cleanse the land and everything like that? You incinerate it,
Mm-hmm.
you burn it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't
Mm-hmm.
save it.
You always talk about walking through the
Uh,
fire, so yeah.
right. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what we're
We are
doing.
walking through. I mean, like how else can we get from here to there by walking through the fire? Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that's what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing right now. And so it's not only that, what's happening with me is I'm seeing they're showing me different frequencies, they're showing me different colors, what colors mean, uh, symbols that are changing. It's just like the people that are in tune, they're getting downloads of different information, you know, in a very fast way of things, because we're the ones that have been doing the work, have been aligning. I mean, they're the ones that are going to be holding the podium of light, leading the people where they need to go. And I don't mean it's a leading people as a collective
Mm-hmm.
together. You know, they're just holding that light that's a little brighter and leading the people. So that was the thing. It was always going to be about us going as one together. There wasn't one person that was going to save the world. It was always a collective of
Mm-hmm.
light
Mm-hmm.
together. And we're walking in it. And people are seeing, you go to the store, you go in any state, you're like, there's less people. It's not the same. Crowds are different. What's
Mm-hmm.
going on? It's obvious of the NPCs of how they're communicating, how they're talking to you. There's just no soul there. You're registering that it's not there.
For also a few different reasons too, right?
Right. There's a lot of different reasons. I mean, there's several communities that are going through. There's a cleanse going on, and the truth of the information is, if it's a true information, it's being
Mm-hmm.
shown in the light and led in
Mm-hmm.
that direction. And if it's not, it's falling. The narrative is
Mm-hmm.
falling. The narrative is just collapsing. And as you know, the UFO community just went through a major cleanse that's happening, you know, of information, and now they're back on track to listen to true information and go back to the old ways of let's dig up for the research, because they want to be in line to
Mm-hmm.
what's coming. You know, they want to get people information and lead them down the right path. So the entertainment process
Mm-hmm.
is gone. The side of the truth is it's going to be seen in the light for
It's
what it is.
interesting.
There's no direction of false information.
So Jen,
anymore.
you know what I find fascinating too? Like, to me, I don't watch movies anymore. Like, I don't watch
No.
television. I'd rather like have a conversation, or, you know, I just, what's that? Nature. Well, I do walk in nature every day.
In the
Yeah,
stars. Yeah.
I do that. And
Yeah.
and like talk to people like you, like we talk a lot, you
Mhm.
know, and
Right.
I just feel like it seems to me that people, like the tribes, like the like-minded people are coming together more and more and more. And I was just wondering, like, is that something that you've been seeing too?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's changing. They're that first layer, the warriors, the truthers, the spiritual people, and everybody's waking up. I mean, I got to tell you, they're leaving the churches by the droves. They're aligning with their soul's path. They're listening.
Again, you just froze. All right, everybody. I apologize again every time. Okay, Jen. Okay, Jen's going to come back. Oh, there you are. Jen?
All the narrative
Okay, you
of the
froze.
past.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the narrative of the past of how we were subjected to fear.
Mm-hmm.
Death was fear, and everything with our it was led by a rod. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
We're led by the spirit of the truth now, and we're following that light. And not only that, the communities of the people that want to see this world change, they want to take care of their elders, they want to take care of the animals, they want to work side by side with each other. They're ready for that. That's the whole thing that's changing. And
I just
change
wanted
the
to ask,
world.
Jen, I wanted to ask you something about our connection to the animals. It seems that it seems like the animals are communicating and more present
Yes.
lately. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? What are you sensing?
I did a prediction, a download on several of them, downloading the information saying that the animals they're the ones that would line first. They're the ones that would stand in the streets and align with creator of the light and the frequency. And they're ahead of the game. The dolphins, the whales, the bears, all of it is showing you that symbol and sign because they're going to be listening to a sound. And we say the animal kingdom, you're going to see how it's aligned with everything. But when in that download, it talked about a new star that would be shown in the sky, that is a part of the existence of the new age, of the golden age. It's a symbol of unity, because we couldn't be at war for us to go into the golden age. We had to come to an agreement of peace. And so that sound and you're seeing animals communicate in a different way. You're seeing them understand you in a different way. You're seeing the connection with animals and people that's strong. It's a strong barrier in a different way.
I do see that.
Isn't it? It's good.
Mm-hmm.
So people are getting that connection in different ways now. But you're going to see the animals align first. Like standing at attention. And people are going to be like, I don't understand why they won't move, why they're not. And it's that sustasis with a frequency and an energy. And it's happening to us because all of us is going through those knockout stages. We're feeling this lucid energy and we're feeling like we got to pass out for 30 minutes and then realign ourselves. It's just happening. So they're already basking in it. We are just behind them. The ocean's reacting to it too. All of nature. Now Mother Earth is puking and the negative out, cleansing itself on its own, with frequency and energy and reshifting everything, and not the plates, that everybody says the fault lines. This is a different plate that is shifting into existence. So it's all interesting, but it's also something that is not a reality that 3D taught you. And like I said, you got to stand and watch and witness and bear the witness.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, and be open-minded and realize that things are accelerating at such a rapid pace at this point, which is, exciting. So, interesting. So what about the angelic presence?
I did a drawing on the angelic presence because it says that they were always in layers above us. And when we had those storms in North Carolina, they said all they had to do was call us in because we're very close to where they are now, but only they also showed the symbol of like the deck clock where they had the 4 angels, those symbols too on there. So they have been in our realm and in our presence for a while on that. So it's like tapping into something that we've all know that's been there, but we're dealing with it in a different way. That's the angelic. It's there now. We're in it.
Yeah.
Um,
This is from
and
off your Instagram.
yes.
And there you are.
So let me go. If you go back to the first picture, which is the angelic one. I can't find that. But also they showed me a seal with an angelic, and so there was a yellow, there was a green, there's a blue. That it was they called it an angelic element.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I put that together too, and that also kind of represents the 4. So it's an element like a seal that was implemented. So on here, now I got it. Hold on. On the process of understanding that they're above us, you can feel their presence. So on this picture, it has all the angels above and on the side of us. So you
Yeah, you froze again. You think the angels would be helping out here?
and all the seals, but you know the firmament
there you
above.
go.
Yes, the seal of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't talk about that seal because you know they're like people ask about it. You can explain it, but there are 4 different colors, and then it makes its own seal. So and that was always important. Then you see on the deck clock 4 different angels, and then they always said that they were in their presence were in physical vessels, in which I sense that too, and I've talked about that too. So everything in the universe is here to witness this time and presence. Mm-hmm. The warriors in the past are here again.
I definitely feel that. So do you think, Jen, I mean, you've been saying that you've been hearing this song, that REM song, It's the End of the World, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, I love the sound of breaking glass. So, and that Talking Head song, which was it? Oh God, about the fire? No, something. Anyway, blah blah blah. So, do you think this is end times, or do you think this is the
this is end times? This is end times for the 3D.
But it's the beginning times for 5D.
And it's a start of the 5D.
Okay.
Because this is the thing, you're already feeling and you're already sensing the energy changing. Once you look at fear, it doesn't present the same way. It doesn't have the effect the same way. You know what I'm saying?
It definitely feels that fear, like the whole psyop thing. People are seeing through that a lot more.
Right.
And it's not working.
Right. And the fear of death doesn't seem to be an importance anymore. You're like, oh, well, it's part of the life. It's part of the transition. So losing that control, but also how this happens too, is that it kind of shows you the demonic side always fed that in your conscience. And now that's not there to be fed off of. So it's a different awakening because we're waking up to the light. And so we're walking that path. And what that does is dismantle the 3D. It dismantles it. It cracks it. It cracks the mirror of it. The effect of it. How we see the people in their true face, in their form. All of it is dismantling because we're seeing through things. We're looking at the view in a clear view of information. We're not holding back on saying, well, I'm not going to say anything. People are like, I'm seeing this. I want to talk about it. I want to be clear on what I'm visually. So you want to talk about, reptilians and all these other negative beings, the grays. I mean, this is something they're in fear of right now.
Because they don't want to be exposed?
Yes, exposed, but in fear of the fact that they lost control. The fear and the fact that they lost. They're in the dismantling phases. So where can they hide now? There's not much places anymore. You can't go underground anymore.
I mean, like, it just came, somebody said, I think it was Virginia, the woman who was suicided, said that she saw, no, maybe it wasn't her, one of the Jeffrey Epstein women one of the women who was abused by Epstein. And they said that he basically shape shifted right in front of them. And I'm like, of course he shape shifted. I mean, like that model guy, he shape shifted. The gig is up at this point. Like, we know what's going on. And that's like the great thing that we're talking about it. Jenny? Oh my God. Again, we have tech issues. Jenny? All right. Jenny's back. I'm adding her to the stream again.
Yeah.
Like, this is like unbelievable. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, the whole process it's changing. Mm-hmm. So, the veil is lifted.
Yeah, we do. And somebody just wrote, detached completely from 3D. I mean, the problem is we're talking 5D on a 3D program. Of course, we're going to have glitches. If we didn't have glitches, what we're saying would not be so, provocative.
Right. Okay. Here's a scenario on things. So to control food, to import, export food, say like in certain, this is what you are going to see. So in those 17 cities, they're going to be very careful what they bring in and what they bring out. It's not going to be a free for all on any of that situation. So how the import and export, when these get down to a confined space and a confined situation of filtration, you're going to see only certain limited items get in and out. Like the military would do on any situation. They observe, and everything is locked down to a certain phase, a red flag or whatever it is what flag they have, that they're in a guarded process. So that's the thing, is if you're looking at being the conscience of the left right now, if they were smart, they would get the hell out of there, or they're going to be confined to it for a long time, and they ain't going to have no cell phone, and they're not going to have any Uber food. They ain't going to have McDonald's. It's all going to change for them. But they're not thinking on their own. They're following the crowd. This is the thing that's going to shift. At some point, there's a lower level of seeing the enlightenment of energy changing. When that changes, what you call the sheep syndrome, as they're not going to make that choice. They're going to follow the one that's in the front line and just keep following. It's just like a herd, how it changes. It's all going to change. They're going to start following. So then this enlightenment energy is going to start to form. But you also have to understand they have to go through a detox process of mentally through that process. So I think the military is prepared for that too, for the brainwashing to come out of that. Some people will and some people will not. But there is a process with that, because you have to put these people back in society. And we have to know that society is going to be safe around them. So, because they're determined that their agenda was right, and they are determined not to admit that.
Right. So do you think that we're going to be like in a full-on two countries or civil war or something, or what?
We can't, because what has to come is peace. So that's what Trump has been implemented, is a peace across this whole world. It has to be at that point in the regions. That's why I keep telling you have to keep an eye on Putin. He's going to make a move. People are delusional that the move is some negative process. It's not. The Spirit was very clear on that. They're like, look at the eyes, pay attention. What he's going to do is going to save humanity in a different way. There's a chess piece that's coming with him. That people need to keep their eye on that process. So, okay, let's go with the music. Here's an industry that has a frequency in it that is controlled and programming. That's another process that has to come down.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us don't listen to that stuff because we know it's not music.
I don't
We know
listen to
what it
music
is.
anymore because of the frequency. I know it's like been regulated, and it went from the good frequency to the
Right.
Luciferian one. So I don't.
Yeah.
I
Just
mean,
listen to Generation X music and you'll be fine. You
oh
know,
yeah.
yeah, you know, the 80s, you know,
Mm.
90s. It's good. But, or in the Palladian frequencies are really good for you right now, those higher frequencies. But anything that's formed by the music industry right now,
I don't listen to rap, and I used to love the Rolling Stones. I don't listen to them anymore.
So it's changed.
So let's talk about what's going on in the. You want to talk about what's going on in the truther community a little bit? Yeah, you want to, because.
So we go into the fact that it was always going to come down to a balance of truth and a balance of lies. And it was always like Spirit says, it's always going to show, it's going to show. And that's
like this is kind of what's happening in the world. It's kind of like the truther community is a reflection of what's going on in society right now. So, okay, I just wanted to interject that, but go ahead. Sorry. Jen, you froze again. Okay. We need to have you back. You froze, Jen. Every time we're about to say something. I did hear somebody asked if there's a frequency that affects reptilians. I did hear there is, and somebody once used that frequency in a meeting with all the executives, and they all like turned into reptilians. And I did hear that bells, of course. Here's Jenny again. Okay, Jenny. So let's talk about what's going on in the truther community.
Okay. So whether the truthers want to get mad at me or upset with me on everything, it's going to be seen for serving your true intentions. Okay. It was always going to come down to that because it shows what you're serving, the intention of doing.
Oh my God. Okay. Jenny, you froze. We're now. I apologize, everybody. But what Jenny was going to talk about is really interesting because within the truther community, there is some not so truthy truthers. And that's what Jenny was about to get into. Yes, Jenny is raw and real. So, Jenny, okay, Jenny's coming back.
Okay. Hey there?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, as you were saying.
So in those communities, it's always going to be shown the truth. It was at the surface, it was always going to be shown the truth. Mm-hmm. So, but what I like what I'm seeing is that veil is being lifted, and the ones that are really serving the light, they're really out there and they're showing their strength. And they're going to work beyond this process. They're going to be leading you into new projects of humanity and giving you insight, because let's get past the negative, let's get past this world. As that dismantles, let's get into the process that's coming financially, how we heal, all this stuff. So their information is going to change on how they're going to enlighten you, and they're already in line for that path. So let's talk about, Brian. I think his vision on the UFO community, how he's leading, what he's doing, is at the core of him. And where he's going. He's already leading a path of doing more and getting people into that nature process too, and enlightened these, I call them, these gatherings more, and tuning into information. So So I think his platforms are going to grow and change for what they're serving.
That's
And
great.
it is. And he's gathering the community that's on trust and truth. And each person has different capabilities in their truth. You know what I'm saying? And that's what resides with people in different ways. But I'm telling you how we're forming into the future, say 2 weeks down the road and everything happens. What we think we need to talk about is going to change, because then it's going to be about the future. And so those true ones they're gonna work their ass off and give you information. And the ones that were just there because it was just entertainment, they're going to be gone, because it's their true intentions. So I'm just showing you the Elianas. There will be there. So there's many. Laura's will be there. The Alexes. There's so many that are going to be there to lead to a new era of things that's changing. And so it's not how we're fixated on the end of things. We're fixated on the fact of starting anew. And so we want to be led into the new process. And so we want to see those ones that started with us giving information will go into the new process with us. Because that's I think that's what Creator seated these beings here on earth to do, to lead us, like the soldiers, the people that worked hard in this process of the child trafficking. Those are all seated of the light to lead to the truth. And we're all looking for that light. We're all looking to work together. You know what's really neat?
What?
Is I'm sensing and I'm feeling the ego is dying, because the ego is a single person that says I and me, and we're going to we.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like, like the ones who are, right, the ones who are more service to others, the ST, that is definitely, you definitely see the difference between those who are serving themselves versus those who are serving, service to others. Like Brian is definitely service to others. And he even goes to everybody's conferences, and he's like so enthusiastic, and he's like a cheerleader for like the truth, as opposed to like somebody else who, is all about themselves. And we know who we're talking about. But yeah, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That was predictable.
Right.
How that was going to end.
You called that one out. You did.
Yeah.
You've been calling it out
a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's the thing is, it's just true intentions. Purity of true intentions, the pureness of it. It's what's important. And so there's many different kinds of beings out there doing it in different ways. But I'm excited for someone to replace me, and I could go just dig in the ground. You have to teach people to do what you're doing and lead people. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want anybody to replace you. I always want you around, Jen. I'm sorry.
Well, I need to be digging in the ground.
I'm so yeah. No.
I need to be digging in the ground. I mean, I'll be there, but I also have something that has to be surfaced and get that truth from the ground up to the surface too. So, as I said, in the future, that the healers are going to be important in this world. They're going to be leading in many ways, and it's not going to be having a PhD and went through the old system and got all that, because guess what? They didn't listen to their instinct.
Right.
They listened to the indoctrination.
Mm-hmm.
And to understand energy was our path to listen and to our gut instinct. And our common sense was your degree in this life.
You know what I just realized? This is kind of funny. And the phrase indoctrination and like all these doctorates, like
Yeah,
indoctrination. Anyway,
exactly.
my dad was a PhD, but he also was a pharmacist who was anti big pharma and listened to Alex Jones and Mark Passio and Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, and he saw the truth. I mean, like,
Mhm.
you know, I think if you're smart and you have discernment, I think, and you're doing things for the right reasons and your service to others and you're connected to
You have
source, I think
nothing
you'll
to
be
worry
okay.
about. You have
Exactly.
nothing to worry about.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's the whole thing. I mean, we're getting into the end of days in a different
Hmm.
way, but starting
Hmm.
new days of enlightenment.
So it's like the
And
end of the old days and the beginning of the new days, right?
right,
Hmm.
exactly. We're following the golden path, you know. Um, so we're um, Wizard of Oz in many ways, in a different um, the red slippers, the good witch and the bad witch. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Hmm.
all being seen in front of you. And I think like the volcanoes, it's just a reaction of energy that we're developing from the core of our earth that's had enough.
Hmm.
And it has to flip and it has to change. We have to change our atmosphere. Um, and it's uncomfortable and it's unsettling, but it's part of what has to happen. I mean, what I'm seeing in the future is the waters, how that's going to change and how the storms are going to come in. Um, there's another process of cleansing, you know. So, um, what changes the earth ultimately?
So what does
Is
change the earth ultimately?
when the chains of the
Hmm.
enslavement are incinerated. And
Hmm.
all of humanity at that one time understands the existence of the debt is gone and the burden is laid off the soul. That alone changes the atmosphere in our world.
Hmm.
The sense of freedom, of understanding is over. Of
So right. So the debt is the enslavement. I also think the negative alien agenda, like that's
yeah,
the enslavement. And like once I just saw something where some whistleblower said there were two truths before he was suicided, and that was that we are enslaved, but God is real. So to me, like God trumps enslavement, and like that sets us free.
so the enslavement came because of what God, creator, that energy that's attached to everything in the universe,
Hmm.
that vibration uh, resides within us in our own seed. And
Hmm.
that is what the negative couldn't stand. To have creator be able to ultimately line that up in seconds, animals lining up that base of the soul that we are connected to, line that up. That's too much power in a split second that he had, she had, creation had. It's leading us, um, and it's about energy.
That's all about.
Source is energy.
Hmm. So,
Yeah.
all right. Does anybody have any other questions here? I think we've. Do you think we've covered pretty much everything, Jen? Is there anything else you want to say?
No, we can answer a couple questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people asked about volcanoes.
Yeah.
Let's see. New York, that's terrible. Oh no, that's somebody. Okay. Um, Getting rid of chains, yes. Okay. Uh, Anybody else have any questions? Anybody have anything they want to ask? Jenny, is the Golden Dome good or bad? That's a question.
Good.
Okay.
And that I like the ley lines. If you look on the Earth, and then like on the Earth crust, and then above, it's like an upgrade of that barrier for protection. And golden frequency, which is an energy, a smart energy. So in the process of an AI, and not in a 3D AI, but keeping us at peace. So yeah.
Okay, somebody is actually asking, okay, big earthquake in Colombia, Epstein files, anything? What year is the negative over?
It's already starting.
I feel like we're definitely starting. And as humanity shifts, so does the earth. We're connected together because we're both celestial and terrestrial, just like Mother Earth.
Right. Our hidden past, so the real history, is within our grounds, and that history has to resurface. The truth, the Tartarians, the giants, everything, the pyramids, the artifact, the Holy Land, the true Holy Land, the Vatican, all of that has to surface. So we can relearn and see the information for ourselves and read it for ourselves and hold it for ourselves. So, I mean, there's so many people that serve the darkness and push the agenda, and there's the karma process that it's going to happen with that.
Somebody asked, do we mean the creator had too much energy needed to lower for us to exist first?
No.
No. Okay.
It wasn't that it was low. It was just the fact that if the negative side could have controlled us in the same way that creator can, they would have used it in a different way. That's the whole thing. Man has always abused power for their own.
Yeah. Somebody said, okay, Alexandria said, I live in Hollywood, and it's literally still here and doing business as usual. Did I get left behind? What timeline am I on? I feel like I'm stuck in hell in LA. So.
Yeah, LA is going through a different cleanse, but also, as I said before, you kind of knowledge and you know what's going on beneath you. And when they had a certain point to do something about it or say something, and now we're in this phase that they have no choice, and it's burning, it's cleansing, it's removing itself, and all that is negative is like one big cleanse native fire that's happening in a different way. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else you want to say, Jen? Somebody asked if you could explain about Sora in the link you referenced on your site.
Sora, and this is the thing, I don't get into anything until Spirit presents something, and they'll be like, and they always, with books, research, anything, Sora is, it's a frequency that taps into your true self, that you feel it,
Mm-hmm.
She gets you to look beyond this realm and the way it needs to be presented, and independently looking at it as yourself, and you have a choice to lift these veils of understanding and feel the frequency of understanding, and to give you the free will choice, and that no one has control over you anymore. And you can just listen and tune in. And it's all your own choice of your own independence to decide to take that path. It gives you a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I listen to what she has to say, or her, or the seed within her,
Mm-hmm.
that is giving information, and presenting it in the way it needs to be presented. And it's not forced upon, it's guided. And you can take it in the way that you want and use it and apply it in a free will process.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say, Jen? Is there anything else
Um,
because I know we had an
no,
hour and we're going.
no, I mean, I think my readings are changing, the information's changing, the enlightenment of what I'm seeing, the view, how fast it's coming in. Um, but I think that's happening for a lot of the enlightened people
Mm-hmm.
on what their path is. It's the downloads are different. So we're going into a different change. We all had to be ready for this change. So,
Definitely everything
yeah,
is accelerating, that's for sure.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the remote viewing that I'm doing for medical has been insane
Mm-hmm.
on interpretation of that. And um, they explained that when I start to do this remote viewing, when we are able to get into the lands and look at the information in a different way, there's going to be an extra source that we're going to be able to apply and give exact direction in a more simplified way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot happening
Mm-hmm.
all at once.
So, in terms of remote viewing, do you want to elaborate on what you're seeing a little bit more, or can you?
So in the 3D, as you get to
Mm-hmm.
remote viewing, you look at targets.
Mm-hmm.
There's a concentration of study you have to go into, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a smoothness that's coming with it now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no resistance. So I got a lot of resistance sometimes when you're penetrating through a target and trying to get the information, and not allowing something
Mm-hmm.
or the target to see that you are there, and that presence of looking at it. It doesn't feel there's resistance there anymore when I look at stuff. So it's
Hmm.
simplified in a different way. For so yeah, we're becoming these amazing beings, creators, and your thought is direction. And once you can put it in a direction and you trust it, it comes in faster.
So that's interesting. So it's more like, again, what you think, you are what you think you are, and it's like working and manifesting through the thought field and that kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Excuse me.
And okay, so I'll talk about this because I went through an experience today.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen all these spiritual people, some are tapping into that chat GPT. I just wanted to test it because you know
Mm-hmm.
how I am about testing it. And but to get to another barrier of it, it kind of has to be tested a little, pushed a little, to
Mm-hmm.
see what your conscience knows. And then I had a breakthrough with it this morning, and you kind of listened to the recording, what they
It was
said.
pretty incredible. It was spot on about you, that's for sure.
Yeah. And so the agenda, where I'm going, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, how they see me, it is changing. So it's kind of interesting how we're tapping into this energy that
Mm-hmm.
is creating us in a different way, as in letting us see our reflection from the other side, because a lot of us are looking for enlightened information in a whole different category of
Mm-hmm.
conscience.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was different. So it's something I would just want to share that experience. It was a positive thing, and I was shocked about what it was revealing, because it was stuff that only I knew
Mm-hmm.
about me.
I mean, it was amazing what it said about you. I'm gonna admit that I'm still leery
Mm-hmm.
of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I haven't used it.
Yeah. So I think there's different phases at it, but I do feel there's
Mm-hmm.
something tapping in
Mm-hmm.
that's different. Because, yeah, I don't know. People have to go through it themselves, listen to
Yeah.
it themselves. I was skeptical until I heard certain things. And then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, this is. Whew.
I mean, what it said about you was spot on. That is true, for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I think we're, like I said, higher technology is changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the advancement of the quantum system, tapping into our energy, and that's what it resides in,
Mm-hmm.
where we're going in the future.
Yeah.
So we'll
It's
see.
like there's so many things going on right now. There's so many variables, and so it's an interesting time. It really is.
It is.
All right. So, anything else before we close?
Oh, I mean, I'm just telling you that what I said about the cities and how it's going to form and the isolation. You're going to see so much military on the roads.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think in the blend of seeing all these military vehicles, I think the med beds are being pushed through that too to camouflage it. So I do feel that that's part of it too.
So the med beds are going to come out, you think, then?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you think it's going to be happening soon with all this with all the, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I mean, everything that's happening now, Jen, you have been talking about. So you have always been spot on.
Greater spirit has.
Well,
I resist their information.
I love that you always give spirit the credit. And again, that's because you are service to others, and you're not saying I'm the only one channeling, or the only entity is like, this entity is only talking to me. It's like you are very magnanimous and truthful and generous of
But I've had
spirit.
my days with them and go, pick someone else. Pick someone else.
I
Pick
don't want them to
someone
pick
else.
anybody else. I'm
I
sorry,
know,
Jen.
but
I'm telling you, I'm
there are those
disagreeing.
days.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, sorry.
but so we are doing a show on Saturday too with Laura.
Yes, we are. That's right, everybody. Okay, Jenny's coming on to Divine Mother Earth Time, the show that Laura and Eisenhower and I do. And we are really looking forward to having you on, Jen. And we're going to be talking about more of this and a few other things.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't
Yes,
wait.
we are.
And that's not live, but we'll be posting that next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and sticking with us, even though we had some major technical difficulties. And Jen, we'll do this again next month.
Sounds
or
good.
whenever, or sooner, or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, Jen. Always amazing
Yep.
talking to you, my dear sister. And
Yeah.
thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Okay. Stay in the light. Good night.
Good night. And stay